Hi, everyone. I'm Rhonda Ellis.
And I'm Melissa Sutton. And this is Cultivating a Home,
the podcast. This is a place where we will talk about what really matters: growing in our walk with Christ, building strong marriages, raising our children with intention, and creating peaceful, life-giving homes centered on Him.
We'll share practical encouragement, real-life stories, and biblical truth to help you cultivate a heart and home that reflects Jesus. New episodes are every Thursday, so let's step into today's conversation together. We are continuing our conversation about cultivating a peaceful home. This week, we're going to talk about discipline and obedience in the home, apologizing, and restoration. Many women are feeling like they do not have a peaceful home, and one of the reasons may be because there's not obedience. We want to talk about setting clear boundaries in the home, but always prioritizing relationships over rules and using correction as an opportunity for growth, not punishment. Obviously, everybody wants a peaceful home, and we are identifying different ways that your home might not feel peaceful. And this is one of the ways that there is disobedience. It's causing there not to be peace in the home. Not a fun topic to discuss, probably, but one that's really important. And Rhonda, talk to us about specific ways that we can learn more about discipline and obedience.
Well, you got it, girl. Discipline is so important. I think if we can look at how today is going in our home and look at the past week, and we think, my kids are either calm and peaceful, and this home is kind of the tone that I want, or we could look at the individual makeup of each temperament in our home, including ourselves, and think, we are out of control here. I've got one that stomps her foot. I got another one that slams doors. I have two that keep fighting. One is bragging all the time, and one is very insecure. And that was about 10 children right there. But these individual children and adults in the family, each one has a sin nature.
Yeah.
And so a lifestyle within your home of continual restoration is so important.
Yeah.
But backing that up, that means we need to identify what type of sin and hurt is taking place within our home.
Yeah.
We don't need to look at anybody else's home, but let's do this check within our own. And it always starts with ourselves. So I was looking back over my notes from years ago, and I saw this story that I'm going to share of me being ridiculous.
We're ready. We're ready for it.
I didn't even remember this story, and I hope my child involved in this doesn't remember, because it's so ridiculous, so silly.
We're going to remind her of it now.
So I hope she's not listening.
Right.
But what happened was I was homeschooling 6 little kids, and the youngest was doing math. She did not like math. And it was a source of identifying character qualities that needed to be worked on when we were schooling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for some reason, she was super stubborn about doing her math problems. I mean, she was probably kindergarten. She was very little. And it was just like this big ordeal. And I let myself get so worked up about it that for some reason I had an envelope in my hand. And I don't know if you remember back then, tithing envelope. So this makes the story worse that it was, praise the Lord, use a piece of church property.
Sure.
And
Makes
I
it
took
even
that
better.
envelope and I just brushed it across her forehead you are driving me crazy, but really I was so angry in it about that dumb situation. And I was just out of control doing that. And she kept going because she wanted to win. Each of our kids had an individual drawer in the pantry, like a little plastic kind of Tupperware-ish sort of thing. that they had little treats in. And I took her little candy out of there, and I threw it in the air. Like I was a woman out of control. And I'm thankful to say maturity has happened.
Yeah, this is a long time ago.
This is last year. And I mean, I was embarrassing myself really with the type of behavior that I was showing. But under it, let's look at the root of it. Not only was, look at the outward things. I was creating a ridiculous, not a peaceful home for sure.
Yeah.
I was creating one where probably the older children ran to their rooms thinking, Mom's throwing candy.
Mom's lost it.
She's slapping around a tithing envelope. And where did all my kids go? They're probably scared, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what was happening at that time, but that's what we need to do is take a look at what are we creating in our home based on our own behavior. But let's look deeper than that. The Bible tells us to look at the root of things. What was that verse we were talking about earlier?
I think,
one of them is out of the abundance of the heart the mouth
speaks.
And that certainly was what was happening. And it says it also, their limbs start throwing candy.
I think the root of the problem is math.
That actually is true for several of my kids that became business majors.
It's funny how that works out.
God's a great redeemer. Okay, but back to that story, looking at the root of it, it was I had not communicated with her along the way, and I let it get out of control.
Yeah.
I let it fester, and then that's not good. It's not really good for somebody to say, I rarely get mad, but when I do, I really explode. Okay, that's not really a compliment.
Right.
It's not a thing to
it's not great.
Be boastful about. Okay, but I ended up finally coming to grips with my behavior and apologizing to that child and saying, I was wrong for brushing your forehead with an envelope and throwing candy. And I did that because I was upset, but I know I was wrong for doing that. Will you forgive me? And she forgave me. And then she also apologized. I know I was wrong for being stubborn and not obeying. Will you forgive me? And there you go. Now that sounds beautiful, but the kids were in the process of being trained on how to apologize. And one of the things we want to make sure happens within our home, within the individual hearts of our family members that we are responsible for, is that we're teaching them to own their sin, to not blame it. I could have said, you made me do that. I could have even said, I'm sorry that I did that, but you made me do it.
Yeah.
Because you didn't listen to me. And I had to tell you 10 times. But that is really not me taking ownership of my actions.
Yeah.
And I want a peaceful home. I want a home that honors Christ. I want a home where I show the maturity and my walk with Christ is so lived out that I hear the Holy Spirit teaching me, correcting me. And I want to role model that to my kids. I want a family, a home. I want my own heart to be one. And the relationships within our home where there's continual restoration taking place.
Yeah.
Not that we're not sinning, that's impossible. But that is how we operate on a daily basis if someone hurts another one, and we make it right. And we make it right by acknowledging our part in the situation.
Yeah.
And letting the rest go. Okay. But as a parent, that is how I want to teach the kids, is to see their part in sin and to deal with the root of it. So for me, it wasn't like I'm just apologizing for being angry. I'm apologizing, or I'm acknowledging that deep down inside, there was anger in me and that it manifested itself in an unkind way that hurt people within my home.
That's really good. What if they had been disobedient and you had kept your cool and you had handled it correctly and they didn't? And they were the ones that threw candy, or they were the ones that kind of got out of control.
Well, first of all, my kids have never done anything wrong.
Sure.
Excuse me.
Same. Never.
Well, what we want to do as parents is deal with the individual child
Mm-hmm.
for their actions.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's say that one child threw candy because she was mad at a sibling,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, what I want to do is teach each of them to look for what they did wrong. And so, is it wrong to throw candy? No,
Right.
unless the motive, if it's coming from anger or selfishness, not getting their way, or wanting to hurt another person because they did them wrong. So it's retaliation. And so part of the process of restoration that takes place within our home, my kids are grown now, they're out of the house, but as they were growing up was an intentional teaching of this where I would pull them over individually,
Mm-hmm.
maybe go into a different room, didn't want it to all have to be a public thing, but a private consultation. Of course, there's some times where it's not, okay? Let's be real. But oftentimes I'll call one over and I'll say, "What did you do?" "I threw candy." "Why did you do that?" "Because I was mad at him for writing on my paper." "Okay, was it right or wrong?" "It was wrong." "And what will you do next time that you're in a situation where your brother offends you?" So you're teaching them to own it,
Mm-hmm.
and you're teaching them to acknowledge it and to really recognize their part in it,
Mm-hmm.
and then apologize to the person that they've offended
Mm-hmm.
for their actions. But this process takes time because what they're going to want to do is when you say, "What did you do?" They're going to say, "I threw candy." "Why?" "Because he really made me mad."
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to want to blame it on the other person.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to teach them to let the questions guide them so they see it's their.
What did you do?
What did you do?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm going to talk to your brother individually.
Right.
But this is about you, your heart,
your part,
and your part of it. And then I would do the same thing for the other person involved in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was just one person that needed it, that would be the only person.
Right.
But if it's two kids involved, they both would be talked to so that we're helping them see their part that was wrong and what they need to apologize for.
That's really good. That makes me think of parenting ahead and preparing ahead for different situations. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like how to kind of combat the problem or the situation before it even occurs?
Yeah. Okay. So I have grandkids now. I have 6 little ones that are 3 and under. So we're walking through all this again.
Yeah.
So already within these short years of their lives, you can see that they all are designed, wired differently. They all have their unique sin natures as well as the beautiful strengths that they have and their personalities and their skill set and all the talents and all of that. It's such a fun process to watch. We had photos taken yesterday. So I can predict that with all the grandkids. Okay, I forgot to say that part. So I got them all matching outfits and thought it'd be really fun to get together and watch them all and take some pictures and play at the park and da-da-da. Well, as I think about, and this is important for moms and dads to kind of think about this, there's patterns within ourselves, but there's patterns with each child of their sin and things that irritate them, weaknesses, fears that they have, etc. So you can predict what might happen when they go into a new situation. Mm-hmm. And so what you mentioned, training ahead, is us thinking about, okay, we're about to take these kids into this new situation. What are some potential situations that could occur that I could talk with them now about to avoid that happening so that I can prepare them? So, for example, if one of your kids tends to want the biggest, the best, the first, that seems to be a pattern, then before you go to the next birthday party, you would talk with that child and just kind of make it matter of fact. It's not a big sit down, big ordeal, but it's a constant as you go sort of technique that you have as a parent. Hey, we're going to be going to the birthday party and they're going to be cutting cake, and take whatever piece they give you. I don't want you to ask for the one with the most frosting. I don't want you to say, I want the bigger piece. And I don't want you to stand there and be the first in line demanding And you role play with them what you would expect them to do so that they have the skills to combat their natural tendencies. And you're helping to coach and to guide them. And when we were taking pictures yesterday, back to that, you can predict that one of them is going to want to hold her bag of toys, and you don't want the toys in the picture. So you want to train ahead. Okay, when we take the picture, I'm going to put your toys over here. It'll be safe. And when we finish the pictures, they'll be right there, right where you want them, and no one will have touched them. But you're going to smile for the picture.
Yeah.
And you're going to sit by your cousins, and you can talk with them like that, and you can role play with them in different types of situations so that they are equipped. And I know one of the things I've taught a lot of women over the years, if you have a child that is a quieter child, which is a beautiful quality, every type of temperament is beautiful. So this is not an example of being extroverted or introverted. But no matter if they are, they can learn to be respectful to people and learn to have good eye contact and to be polite. So if you have one that is a little kid, and tends to hide behind your leg, your skirt, your pants when you're meeting somebody, and they're just shy, well, maybe we say things like, she's so shy, which is fine. It's fine. There's no judgment here, but this is a podcast where I hope we learn some things. So on the other end, I want to teach some things that might be helpful. Is instead of allowing our children to do that, which can be rude and disrespectful, adults probably aren't really thinking that, but I'm looking longer term. We want our kids to be able to talk with people of all ages and have good eye contact. So it's part of the ongoing training. So for this child, for training ahead, you might say, we are going to go see grandparents today. You're not going to hide behind my leg. You're going to say hi and you're going to hug them or whatever it is you would like for them to do. And you help them with the motive of it. And you're going to hug them because that makes grandparents feel so special. And they love you so much. So that is a wonderful thing to do for your grandparents, is to hug them and say, hi. Okay, and they're talking about little kids here. If you hide behind my leg this time, I'm going to take you into the bedroom and I'm going to talk with you and remind you that you're going to say hello. Okay, so you practice that with them. You get another sibling to say hi, and you role play that with them so they're comfortable doing it. And then when you do go into the situation where they're meeting that person, the grandparents, and if they do go behind your leg, you do not make a big deal about it.
Right.
Because this is part of training. And so you are polite to the person. Nobody should even know that you did this. You can let the child not say hello that time. But then you do take the child in the bedroom quietly again. Nobody knows it's a thing that's happening. And you say, you remember how we practiced saying that? Now I want you to go out there and you just hug them and say hi. And you just keep working on these things, but they're learning that it's about respect to other people and being kind and not being, selfish. But again, keep in mind, it's not a wrong thing that a child hides behind your leg. You're just using it as an opportunity for them to learn confidence, self-esteem, learn to be respectful and kind and invest in other people. And it starts at a young age.
And I like how you said, it's not a big deal. It's not a blow up. It's just a reminder, take to the side without anybody else having to know. Just a reminder of, do you remember what we talked about? And like you said, it's building confidence. And when we know what a situation is going to be like beforehand and we can prepare for it, it gives that child confidence, just like it does with us. When we know what a situation is going to be like when we go into it, it builds confidence in us.
We do appreciate
really good
knowing what's coming up. And you think about like the grandkids I had yesterday. I had 5 of them here again, 3 and under. The little 1-month-old did not come. She gave her mom some quiet time with just her. And within those dynamics, it's very funny. You've got a stubborn one. You've got one that doesn't obey. You have one that is demanding of their way. You have one, I'm just making up things because like there's just all different types of temperaments within your family, within that. And so you're always training ahead. When you're with one, you're like, if she takes your toys today,
Mm-hmm.
then here's how you reply. And one of them is so sweet. She really had a hard time sharing because she really loves her toys, her little bitty toys so much. And we trained ahead and we practiced when you share, you smile. And it's so true.
Yeah.
When a little kid or even us, when we want to keep something for ourselves, we're not smiling.
No.
And so it's so funny. Even yesterday, she shared with her little cousin and I said, when you share and she goes, smile. And she had a big smile.
Yeah.
And I think about the progress that she's made in sharing is so sweet, but a lot of it is from training ahead. You're going to be in this environment. And so since she had trouble sharing, we talk about sharing before she gets in that environment.
Yeah, that's really good. And the beginning of all of that is you have to learn your child or grandchildren in this situation. You have to learn, okay, like you're saying, what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What is potentially going to be an issue? But that takes time. That takes effort to learn who these people are.
Yeah.
And the same for ourselves. You have to learn, okay, what we talked about last week, triggers. What are my triggers?
Mm-hmm.
What's going to set me off? What's going to get me scared or upset or frustrated? What can I do beforehand so that I'm at peace, my home is at peace before I even get in the situation? That's really good.
One of the things that I've done consistently throughout raising the raising kids years, I had a spiral bound notebook that I called my Thinking It Through notebook. And I would spend time with the Lord. I would carve off. Sometimes it was half a day. Sometimes it could be a whole weekend, which was wonderful. It would be most ideal if you and your husband did it together, but that's not always possible for everybody. And it certainly is very effective if you and the Lord are alone in this. And I would go and spend time in quiet with the Lord. And the whole point of it was, Lord, will you give me insight into my heart, my strengths, weaknesses, my sin nature, how I hurt other people without intending to? Could you show me the root of these things? And then I would list each of the kids in my notebook. And I would say, would you give me supernatural insight into the makeup of this child? And I would do that for each child. And it wasn't to record bad things. It was to help me with a strategy and inviting the Lord to help me with this strategy, because one of our primary goals as a parent is to mold and to shape, to point the kids towards Christ and to work on the root of what's going on deep in their heart. And that was very significant. And I really felt like, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. That's where priorities come from, is asking God for them and inviting him in. And he did. He would show me so many things about the kids. And then I would say, Lord, would you give me creative ideas of how to best teach this child, to best love this child? It wasn't just the negative qualities either.
Yeah.
It was also, I did that for, would you show me their strengths, their talents? Would you help me to see the totality and what you want to create in them to do big things for you? So it was the whole package. But right now we're talking about peace in the home. And so this was what I would do to help with a peaceful home, because as we all grow closer to the Lord, well, obviously there's more peace because we're operating in a biblical manner. But that was really insightful for me. I began to see, this child brags, this child cuts down, they use their tongue to hurt people. This one doesn't speak up. This one's storing hurtful feelings deep inside. And so, Lord, how could I help that child to learn to open up? Because that's not healthy either, even though a child seems like they're not making any trouble because they're quiet. Well, they're not their healthiest version mentally of themselves if they're stuffing things down and being hurt by siblings or by other people. And so that's part of what I would do when I was with them, is I would really try to do the opposite. So there was one time, one of the kids I felt like seemed like they were a little insecure, and they were very little, probably young elementary age at the time, but I was just asking for creative ideas. We set this child on the table, and we had all the siblings speak life and encouragement into this child.
Yeah, that's good.
And said, and not fluff. It's very important that you not teach your children to be, what's that called? Fluff is
like fake.
Yeah, flattery.
Yeah.
Yes. But to really speak things they have observed in their siblings and be able to speak it freely to encourage one another. And we did that. We went around the table and spoke truth. And it was so beautiful to do that. And, those are the kind of creative ideas you get from asking the Lord, show me. There was another child that I'll go ahead and tell you his name is Daniel because there was a swing.
We're getting specific.
It's important for this story. I was going to give it away because the name of the swing for me was my Daniel swing.
Yeah.
I would just take him outside and swing with him because he was kind of quiet and he's hilarious.
Yeah.
And he's super fast.
Yeah.
He was kind of quiet. So I didn't know things he was thinking about. So I would take the time on occasion and I'd just go out there to what I call my Daniel swing.
Yeah.
And I would just sit still. He didn't need a lot of talking to. He just needed quiet, and he was very comfortable with that. And I would just enter his world and swing with him. And then just ask a question and give space for him to respond and just hear what was in his little heart and mind at that time.
Such a good guy, Dan.
He's awesome.
I want to go back to the restoration and apology section and just go over the questions that you asked at the end and give you an opportunity to say any more about that you want. But they were, what did you do? Why did you do it? Was it right or wrong? Why was it wrong? What will you do next time? To whom do you need to apologize? So those were the questions. And then you would give one command and apologize to the offended parties, which is amazing. This is time consuming. This is something that you have to put effort in. This doesn't just happen.
Right.
So
it's being very intentional.
Very intentional.
It's also
super
stopping
helpful.
The world.
Exactly.
Because how often are we as moms in a position to be like, you know what? Today is a very good day to really take the time to deal with these sins within our family.
Yeah, exactly.
It's never like that.
Right.
So stop the world, as we've mentioned before, and we will mention many times in the future. It means stopping what you are doing right now to focus on
the most important thing. Yeah.
The most important, which is the training of our children.
Yeah.
In this case, it is dealing with the heart of our kids. And it could be, I just remember that being so exhausting. There were days where it was over and over, especially if you have multiple kids. Well, then you're dealing with each kid multiple times, but you're shaping, and it's our highest calling. It's our greatest joy to be able to invest in and impact the kids. So if you're a mom listening right now and you're thinking, this is so hard, it is. But if they weren't sinning, you wouldn't get a chance to really deal deep with their heart, with the root of it. So if we don't want to just deal with stop hating your sister. Let's take a look at what the pattern here, the anger issues, and what's it triggered by. Is it triggered by, it's always somebody taking his toys, or it's if somebody touches the video games. Okay, well then we might need to take away something that is the trigger to help. If somebody touching the remote makes somebody flip their lid, then you're not in control when you're watching TV. This is consuming you. We're going to need to pull back some things. But you want to deal with the root of it, with the selfishness, why are the outbursts happening?
Yeah.
So you could go through those list of questions with them, and it's really helpful. And what was the thing that you said? Oh, the one more command. This is so helpful. So what that means is, okay, let's say I've called a child back to my room. Let's say they were being mean to a sibling and they were leaving them out of something. They were intentionally just being rude to them and leaving them out. Okay. So call them to I bring them to my room or wherever your designated space is that you're going to do this, and I go through the list of questions. So they know who they've offended, they know all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I say one command. What this is going to do is show how stiff their neck, their shoulders, their chin is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if those aren't softened in the Bible, there's lots of verses actually on this in the Bible. If they are stiff-necked, then their hearts haven't been changed yet. And if they don't do one more command, which could be this, it could be, now who do you need to apologize to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go to your sister and apologize. And if they don't do that easily and you see resistance, they're not ready yet.
Yeah.
That one command could be you told them to clean up their toys and they didn't. And so the command, so to speak, is because you're checking the condition of their heart, basically.
Mm-hmm.
The command would be, now go clean up the toys. And they should do it. If their hearts are restored, if they're right, they would do that. If
Mm-hmm.
not, you have to do the whole process over again. Just let them sit there for a little while and then say, okay, I'm going to give you a little time to kind of process everything we've talked about, and I'll be back in a little bit. And you do it again until you see soft shoulders and obedient hearts and actions. So the one command just gives you an indicator of where they are with this discipline process.
That's really good.
Quite
for us, for our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, and for some kids, it takes a little longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it is worth the time invested.
And again, that goes back to stop the world. This is the most important thing that you have going on right now. So dinner can wait. Your agenda, your list can wait. We got to deal with this because this is the most important thing right now. And that takes time, intentionality. But once we begin that habit, it gets easier every time to stop the world.
Yeah, and you're giving the tools, the kids tools to be able to manage themselves.
Yeah.
Right? We don't want to just correct the outward behavior because all we've done is put Band-Aids on things. We want them to learn about their own tendencies and how to have long suffering, how to pause, how to have patience with things. Yeah.
That's really good. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This was an awesome episode, and we talked about discipline today and obedience and how we are the ones in our homes that have to teach it and have to teach our kids and to start with ourselves and to really look at our own heart and get to the root of the issues that are going on. Thanks, Rhonda.
Thank you, Melissa. It's always fun to be with you.
You too. See y'all next week.
Bye.
Thanks for spending this time with us today. We hope you're walking away encouraged and equipped with something simple you can put into practice right where you are. Remember, it's the small, faithful choices that shape the atmosphere of your home. So wherever you are today, keep cultivating hearts and homes for Christ.